Welcome to the Voyager of the Seas. Hey everyone, I'm Patrick from Oakland Travel. We are in the elevator heading up to the Viking Crown Lounge. It is September the 7th of 2022. We are right in the middle of a 14-night repositioning cruise, taking the Voyager of the Seas from Europe back over to the US. And at this particular point in the cruise, we are 1 day away from Akureyri, Iceland, having come from Kristiansand, Norway. So we're kind of making our way up into the Arctic Circle here. And the old Viking Crown Lounge. One of the things that they were doing throughout the cruise was instructional dance classes similar to this one. Whenever we would check the app, the Royal Caribbean app, and you're looking at the activities, and the Viking Crown Lounge was definitely used quite a few times throughout the cruise for a variety of things. They would do trivia up here. They would do dance classes like this. And then, of course, at night, you've got, like a DJ up here, playing music and so on. You got the suite lounge over here off to the side. Pretty nice, standard view of the Viking Crown Lounge. If you've ever been on one of these Royal Caribbean ships, the overall structure of the Viking Crown Lounge is the same. And then sometimes, depending on the ship, they will move some things around. They've got on this particular one on Voyager, they've got a zoomy up here. Where when we were on Mariner of the Seas, for instance, they had at that time back in 2022, they had their Diamond Club up here where the suite lounge is on Voyager. So, but kind of roughly the same space. They just sort of allocate it differently. But yeah, so we're up here just kind of enjoying, watching everybody doing their dance, routine. And Maria and I are kind of over here to the side, and we're sort of, you see our hand gestures there. We're sort of motion or kind of talking with our hands, thinking through what I was just talking about in terms of the differences that we've seen across the different ships with the Viking Crown Lounge on this ship had this, but on this one it has this, and it looks like this, and a little bit of compare and contrast, but always a cool area of the ship. Come over here and you get that classic view where you look down onto the pool, and of course the view of the ship and everything off to the starboard side here. And as I mentioned, we are a sea day, or when this video was recorded, on our way up to Iceland. And so kind of one of those things where throughout the entire cruise, the weather was a little bit of an issue because every time you would step outside, it was cold. You needed to make sure that, you were prepared with whatever it is you were wearing. So once we left Copenhagen, Denmark, it was just kind of cold the rest of the way. The pools were never used. I think they had nets over the pools throughout the entire cruise. All of these lounge chairs that you see down there on the walking track on deck 12, it's just one of those things. Nobody would ever use them. The crew members would leave them out there because there was no real reason to sort of move them. Because we didn't have bad weather to where you had to worry about them flying all over the place. It was just cold. And so it's just one of those things that goes along with this particular cruise. The hot tubs, you see somebody down there in that hot tub. The hot tub's got a lot of use, as you might imagine. But a really cool cruise, very interesting for us. We'd never done repositioning before. And so if you look at the itinerary for the Voyager, they were doing this a couple of times where you would see the Voyager of the Seas be over in Europe for the summer. Now, at the beginning of 2022, this was coming out of the restart. But then it came back over to the U.S. in the fall of 2022. Spring of 2023, it went back to Europe, stayed over in Europe, for the summer. And then the ship would come back in the fall of 2023. It's scheduled to come back over to the U.S. and so on. So pretty cool 14-night repositioning going on.